Okay, so we're recording. It's June 9th, 2013. My name is Mario Gandolfo, and I am speaking to my mother, her and I, and my sister and my father, who is now deceased. Back in 1969 in February, at night, about 7 o'clock at night, saw a UFO appear in front of us about probably roughly 500 yards to 1,000 yards in front of us at about 500 feet above ground. And I pretty much know in my mind what I saw that night, but I am going to let my mother tell me what she recollects of that night as well. So it's all for you, Ma. Here you go.
All right. Hello. My name is Nancy Gandolfo, and our home was located in East Canaan, Connecticut, on the south side of State Highway Route 44. We had a long sloping driveway that led to our home and the Blackberry River, which ran through the south side of our property. On February 9th, 1969, which was an extremely cold, clear evening, at approximately 7 p.m., my husband and I and my 7-year-old daughter and 4-year-old son started up our driveway to go to my husband's father's birthday party. We were about halfway up the drive, approximately 100 to 150 feet, when this extremely bright, pulsating, multicolored light appeared just at the top of the slight ridge to the north of Route 44. In front of that ridge is a cemetery and an actively mined gravel operation with deep pits. Very slowly, a huge disc-shaped, elongated object came from behind the ridge and hovered there with a thrumming light emanating very brightly from it. The ridge is very low and very close, approximately 500 to 600 feet from our driveway. It hovered in the air for about 45 seconds, then disappeared in an extremely bright burst of green light. I do not believe we moved or spoke during that encounter, as we were petrified or did not have the ability to do so. We agreed never to speak of what we saw to anyone, and finally proceeded to the in-laws' house just up the road. I do not think that any of us got any sleep that night. I know I did not. The occurrence is as fresh in my mind today as the evening that it happened. This was 44 years ago when it took place, and it was, again, an extremely cold, crisp winter's night. This is what I can remember to the best of my ability.
Okay, that's pretty much what I got as well, which I've been saying all along, except for the recent part about I thought it was November and not February. So, anyway, are you still there? Okay. I guess that's it, and there's really nothing else that you can think of that comes to your mind as far as a sighting, hearing anything other, seeing anything. Describe a little bit in detail. You said it had the pulsating lights. I know that there was the same type of craft that was seen in 1987 it was actually a picture taken by a Connecticut state trooper near Waterbury, Connecticut. I believe it was Glastonbury. Thousands of people saw it as it crossed over Interstate 84, but it was well over 2,500 feet up in the air, unlike ours, which was literally a couple hundred feet off the ground. But explain in detail the pulsating lights, where they were on the ship itself, the craft itself. And the colors as well that were on the craft, and in which direction they were pulsating, clockwise or counterclockwise, if you can recollect.
Yeah, I can. I never thought about putting that down. But yes, it had, like a ship would have portholes in it when it were out to sea to look out of. This had round, almost like a baby's top, the way it was set up, and these portholes or windows or whatever it was hard to determine exactly what it was, but they were all around the whole parameter of the part of the ship that we could see, and it would be they pulse different colors from these holes going let's see, it would have been counterclockwise instead of going clockwise. It would be as if they were going backwards, and continued to do so the whole time that it hovered there. And they were multicolored, and as I said, followed each other in a color pattern, almost like the colors were from some kind of thing that helped that ship to stay in that position, whether it was just fuel that was spent or lights that somehow or another were used to make that ship stay there. I don't know. But when it left in such a hurry that all I saw was a flash of very brilliant green light, and it went up and it was gone in a matter of a split second.
Okay. You mentioned that the lights you thought would possibly have been some type of jettison propulsion in order to keep it stabilized, stationary there, but then you said that you thought that they looked like windows. Now, were the windows you were talking about above that, up towards the top of the craft?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So you weren't specifically saying that the lights were where the windows were. The windows were actually above it, because what I remember sitting in that car looking at it, those lights were amidship, because we could see the whole craft on that night, because it was pretty much a full moon.
We could see the front part of it, and we couldn't see the back part.
Oh, we could see mass. We could see that it wasn't, years later they called it the boomerang UFO from the Hudson Valley region. That's not what this was. That type that thousands and thousands of people have seen had squareness to it. It wasn't round, and it wasn't a complete craft like we saw as much as we could on that night. That was clear, by the way. I know you said that it was crisp and cold, but it was also clear. I have to emphasize that point.
Oh, I did say clear in the...
Oh, you did? Okay.
Statement that I read.
All right.
Crisp, clear.
My recollection was, such as it is, being so young, is I thought that as we saw it was a little bit longer to me than 35 or 40 seconds. I thought it was there for a couple of minutes, hovering, and then it just slowly decreased down below the back tree line, and then there was a green flash and it was gone. That was my recollection, and that's what I've seen in my mind for the last 44 years. Since it's happened.
I don't remember it going down to the tree line. I just remember that it ramped up in speed. The lights ramped up in the progression, following each other, and then it just went. It was just so bright, and then it was gone.
Okay.
So that's the way my memory is of it.
Okay. Now concerning me, how long after? Days, a week, whatever, hours after we all saw that craft, and Annette and you and my father and I, that my dreams started?
I don't know, because I don't remember that part of it. So I honestly cannot say that I remember that part of it.
You can't remember me screaming bloody murder and you guys coming in and turning the lights on? I remember that specifically the first time it happened, and then for several years after that, I had to sleep with the lights on.
No, I do not.
Oh.
Do not remember that.
Well, that sucks.
Well, I mean, it certainly could have happened, no doubt, but it just wasn't something that stuck in my mind.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. That's pretty much it. Okay, cool. Well, thank you for your time. And I guess that's it.
Okay. All right. When you shut it off, just want to ask you a question.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome.
Okay, this is me talking in real time here now, Mario Gandolfo. I just wanted to let you all out there know that watch this video on YouTube or wherever, that the video that you're seeing now is the picture on my screen is actually the same craft that I and my family saw back in 1969. This particular craft is not the boomerang craft of the 1980s in the Hudson Valley region. This is the one that my family saw. Don't know if it's the same craft or not, but this is the same type craft that we saw with the lights amidships. And as you can see, the back part is blocked off, but that's not because it's a boomerang, and where the lights end, that's where the craft ends. It's because there's mass, and you cannot see behind the lights behind it because there is mass in the middle. This photograph has never been debunked. It was taken in 1987 in Waterbury, Connecticut by a Connecticut state trooper And this is the closest that I can show you to come that I and my family saw almost 20 years earlier in 1969 in East Canaan, Connecticut. And as a further note, I did not find this photograph until several years ago, and that's when I really started actively pursuing what happened to I and my family back in 1969. So that's pretty much it, and I hope you enjoyed this as much as I can't say enjoyed it, but got the information from my mother. This is the first time that I've really in-depth talked to her about this since this happened in 1969, and I'm still just a little bit in shock, but take it for what it is. It happened, we saw it, and that's the way it is. Take care.